Avoid these types of homes because the ones that look perfect can wreck your finances. I've seen buyers fall for shiny countertops only to get slammed with a $20,000 repair bill and instant regret. With years in the industry, I know the red flags most buyers never see until it's too late. In this video, I'll show you the types of homes I'd never buy myself. In just a minute, I'll share one simple trick most buyers completely overlook when it comes to spotting problems in the neighborhood. The first type is flipped homes that only focus on cosmetic fixes while ignoring the expensive stuff. Here's how it usually goes. An investor picks up a distressed property at a discount. They give it a quick facelift. Fresh paint, laminate floors, new appliances, shaker cabinets, maybe some granite or quartz look countertops. It all looks nice on the surface, but behind the walls, that's where the problems live. The roof, AC, plumbing, and electrical systems are often original or really old. The things that actually cost tens of thousands of dollars to fix are untouched. And because flippers borrow hard money loans with double-digit interest rates, they're under pressure to sell fast. That rush can mean sloppy work, uneven tiles, cabinets that don't shut right, or worse, issues covered up instead of repaired. Now, not every flip is bad. The good ones usually advertise that the home was taken down to the studs with new wiring, plumbing, and full progress photos to prove it. But those are rare. More often, you're buying the same old house wrapped in a shiny new package. How do you spot a flip? Check the tax records. If the owner is an LLC that's only had the home for a few months, odds are it's a flip. Walk through carefully. If it feels like every finish came straight off the Home Depot sales rack, be cautious. Flipped homes can look amazing, but if the big ticket systems haven't been updated, you could be buying a money pit. The second type are older homes with hidden problems. And here's the thing, it's not about age, it's about materials. Behind the walls, you might find lead pipes, knob and tube wiring, asbestos, or Federal Pacific breaker panels that are literally known fire hazards. These aren't just quirks, they're expensive fixes, and sometimes they can even make it harder to get insurance. And it's not just homes from the 1920s, even properties from the 1990s can hide headaches. In my area, there was a big housing boom in the 90s and builders cut corners with cheaper materials. One of the worst offenders, polybutylene pipes, notorious for leaking and failing. Now, I don't want you to think every older home is bad. I've owned a 1950s house myself, survived 4 hurricanes in 1 year with barely a scratch. But back then, homes were built to last. The charm and craftsmanship can be amazing. The problems usually show up when everything is still original. Outdated wiring or plumbing can raise your insurance costs or make coverage hard to get. I had clients once who loved a home with aluminum wiring, but most insurers refused to cover it. We finally found coverage, but only after negotiating a seller credit so the wiring could be replaced later. Same story with polybutylene pipes. Most insurers flag them and many sellers can't or won't replace them before closing. The best older homes, ones where the wiring and plumbing have already been updated but the character is still intact. The risky ones are time capsules, charming on the surface but loaded with expensive repairs under the hood. I can help you find a real estate agent in your area. Check out my website, workwithdang.com, for more information. I make videos like this every week. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's talk about the other end of the spectrum, brand new homes. A lot of buyers assume new means no problems, but that's not always the case. Builders today are under pressure to move fast and keep costs low. Sometimes corners get cut. I've seen homes less than 5 years old with roof leaks, plumbing failures, or doors and cabinets that were never installed level in the first place. Part of the problem goes back to the supply shortages we saw a few years ago. Manufacturers were pumping out materials as quickly as possible, which meant quality control wasn't always the best. We're still feeling some of that today. Now, yes, new homes often come with warranties. That sounds great, but here's the catch. Actually getting things fixed under warranty can be a battle. Some builders drag their feet, push back on repairs, or only do the bare minimum. Don't get me wrong, new construction can be amazing. You get modern layouts, energy efficiency, and sometimes even incentives from the builder. But just remember, brand new doesn't mean problem-free. You still want to get a thorough inspection and, if possible, talk to other homeowners in the neighborhood to hear what their experience has been. Another type of home to be careful with are those in HOAs or condo associations. Some people refuse them altogether, and I understand why. The first thing to know is that HOAs come with rules. Sometimes it's small stuff like how tall your grass can be or whether you can park on the street. Other times it gets extreme, with neighbors on the board nitpicking everything from holiday lights to the color of your front door. But beyond the rules, the real danger is financial, rising dues and special assessments. An HOA fee that starts out affordable can creep higher over the years, and if the association doesn't have enough reserves saved up, they can hit you with a special assessment, basically a surprise bill for repairs the budget can't cover. In Florida especially, this has been a huge problem with condos. Some owners have seen monthly dues double or even asked to pay tens of thousands of dollars all at once. So what should you do? If you're considering an HOA property, ask for the financials. Look at whether they've raised dues recently, whether reserves are fully funded, and if there are any proposed assessments on the horizon. You don't want to get blindsided later. You should reach out to the HOA management team and ask lots of questions. Make sure you understand all the rules and what you're getting yourself into. Now, to be fair, HOAs aren't all bad. They can help protect neighborhood values, keep lawns maintained, and prevent your neighbor from parking a broken down RV on the front lawn. But you need to know exactly what you're signing up for, both in rules and in costs. Another type of home to be cautious about is one in a flood zone or disaster-prone area. The big risk here is twofold: higher insurance costs and the possibility of real damage. Flood zones are labeled by FEMA, and if the home is in anything other than a Zone X, it's considered at risk. That doesn't always mean the house itself floods, sometimes it's just part of the lot. But buyers often get surprised when insurance quotes come back much higher than expected. And here's the thing, even homes outside official flood zones can have problems. I had clients look at a place after a heavy rain, and while the house wasn't in a mapped flood zone, the street was underwater. Neighbors admitted it happened all the time. That's why I recommend visiting a property after storms or talking to locals before you commit. The same goes for homes in areas prone to hurricanes, wildfires, or tornadoes. You can't predict natural disasters, but you can plan for them. In Florida, for example, homeowners insurance has skyrocketed in hurricane-prone areas. In California, wildfire zones can make it hard, sometimes impossible, to find affordable coverage. If you're considering one of these properties, make insurance your first phone call. Don't rely on a generic estimate. Get a real quote for that specific house so you know what you're getting into. Another red flag is buying in a bad location. And by bad, I don't just mean the neighborhood reputation, I'm talking about factors that will directly impact your daily life and resale value. Think about homes near airports, train tracks, or highways. That constant noise might feel like background during a quick showing, but live there for a year and it'll drive you nuts and make it harder to sell later. Industrial zones are another issue. Living near a landfill, power plant, or recycling center can mean odors, truck traffic, and safety concerns. Even hospitals and fire stations, which sound convenient but can bring non-stop sirens. Parking is another overlooked headache. Some neighborhoods are notorious for tickets, towing, or overcrowded streets. Combine that with poorly maintained neighboring homes, and suddenly you're the buyer who struggles to sell down the road. Here's my advice: don't just fall in love with the house itself. Drive the area at different times, nights, weekends, rush hour, see how it feels. And if you can chat with a neighbor or two, they'll often tell you what it's really like to live there, the good and the bad. And that goes into my trick that I mentioned earlier in the video that most buyers overlook. Don't just tour the home once and call it a day. Visit the property multiple times, at nights, on weekends, even after a heavy rain. You might ask why, and that's because neighborhoods change depending on the time of day. The quiet street at noon might turn into a parking lot at night. The neighbors who look fine at first glance might throw loud garage parties every Friday night, and the yard that looks perfect in dry weather might flood every time it rains. If you can't visit in person, ask your agent to swing by and take video, or even have a friend in the area check it out. A few extra trips can reveal what no listing photo ever will. Another type of home I'd be cautious with is what I call problem properties. These are the ones that don't always look scary up front, but the hidden issues can drain your bank account fast. For example, homes with old oil tanks underground, or septic systems and wells that haven't been maintained in years. Getting those removed or repaired can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Or homes built on steep lots or slopes. They might have great views, but drainage problems can sneak up on you. Fixing grading or water damage isn't cheap, and it's the kind of problem you can't ignore. This is where your inspector is worth their weight in gold. Never skip inspections. And don't just read the report, ask questions. A good inspector will walk you through what they found and give you an honest take on whether it's just a cosmetic issue or something that could sink your budget. Now, I don't want to scare you off on buying homes altogether because every home has trade-offs. There's no such thing as perfect. Even your dream house will have something that isn't ideal, but some red flags are just too expensive to ignore. So let's recap. Flipped homes with only cosmetic fixes, older homes with hidden issues, new builds rushed with cheap materials, HOAs or condos with rising fees, homes in flood zones or disaster-prone areas, bad locations with noise or resale problems, and problem properties like old tanks or drainage issues. If you know what to look for, you can avoid the kinds of homes that leave buyers saying, "I wish someone warned me." Don't fall in love with shiny countertops or a fresh coat of paint until you know what's behind the walls and what's around the neighborhood. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What type of home would you never buy? Drop it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else avoid a mistake. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It motivates me to make more videos.